Welcome, traveler, and lay your burdens down. Let the ceaseless rush of your world fall away like the last autumn leaves. The year is turned, and with it the great silence of winter has fallen upon the land. The world outside is a canvas of pristine, untouched white, painted by the silver light of the moon and the endless whispering wind. You are no longer in a place of noise and light, but in a place of quiet, of profound stillness. You are here with me in this sacred space. Close your eyes and let your breath slow to the rhythm of a steady, calm heartbeat. We are going to journey back, not just in time, but into a different kind of wisdom, the wisdom of a people who did not fear the cold, but learned to walk with it, to listen to its song, and to find warmth in its deepest, most profound heart. Imagine the bitter air, so cold it steals your breath and turns it into a cloud of white mist that hangs for a moment, then vanishes. The moon, a perfect glowing coin, hangs in the vast inky sky, and its light is so bright it casts long blue shadows across the snow. Snow covers the ground in a deep, undisturbed blanket, its surface glittering like a million tiny diamonds, catching the light of a distant star. The world is asleep. It is a world of monochrome beauty, where every branch is frosted and every sound is muffled. The only thing standing against this immense frozen stillness is a single conical shape rising from the snow like a mountain peak in miniature. This is not just a tent, it is a home, it is a refuge, it is a testament to an ancient, profound understanding of the earth. This is the teepee. Let's step closer. The wind, which howls outside with a sound like a great wolf, seems to part as it reaches the teepee's conical form. It flows around its smooth, curved surface, its fury deflecting harmlessly off the taut hide, rather than pushing against it. It is a fortress, a brilliant piece of engineering, crafted from a deep respect for the elements, not a battle against them. Its foundation is not stone, but a carefully selected circle of strong, slender poles, most often lodgepole pine, chosen for its remarkable straightness, its strength, and its resilience to the cold, or sometimes red cedar, which carries its own quiet spiritual strength. The process of selecting and preparing these poles was a meticulous, years-long task, with young trees carefully pruned and straightened to grow into the perfect length and thickness. The poles, maybe 20 or more of them, are raised and lashed together at the top, their ends crossing gracefully against the sky, forming the chimney, the voice of the home. This conical design, so simple yet so powerful, is the first secret of their warmth. The covering of this shelter is a masterpiece of its own. It is made from great thick buffalo hides, carefully tanned and prepared by the women of the tribe. The hides were scraped clean of all hair and flesh using specialized bone tools, a process that required immense strength and skill. They were then softened with a mixture of animal brains and fat, rubbed and worked tirelessly until they became as pliable as cloth, yet remained tough as leather. This process, known as brain tanning, was a form of sacred alchemy, transforming the gift of the animal into a shelter for the family. The prepared hides were then sewn together with sinew, the strong natural thread from the animal itself, a patient and precise labor that created a seamless conical canvas. The finished hide covering is thick and layered, acting as a perfect natural insulator, a powerful barrier that holds the warmth within and keeps the cold air out. It is also breathable, allowing a gentle exchange of air to prevent the inside from becoming stale or stagnant, a constant living conversation with the world outside. The entire teepee, with its poles, cover, and inner lining, was a portable home designed to be disassembled and reassembled in a matter of hours, a perfect solution for a people who followed the rhythm of the herds. As you approach the entrance, A small hidden flap of soft buffalo calfskin lifts to reveal the doorway. You bend down, bowing your head in a quiet act of humility and respect, and step inside. The harsh, sterile air of the outside world is gone. It is replaced by a gentle, enveloping warmth, and the deep, comforting scent of wood smoke, tanned leather, and dry earth. The floor, as you predicted, is not the frozen ground. It is lined with thick, dried grasses and soft, luxurious robes of bear and elk hides. This is the teepee's inner sanctum, a space of profound comfort and safety. Look up now, into the heart of the home. Above the central fire, the smoke from the glowing embers rises in a slow, hypnotic spiral, a living thing dancing toward the small hole at the top. This is no accident. The two smoke flaps positioned at the top of the teepee are a crucial part of its design, its very lungs. They are like the wings of a great bird, and they can be adjusted with long poles, opening or closing depending on the direction of the wind. This allows the inhabitants to control the draft with a subtle, delicate precision, ensuring the smoke escapes cleanly while keeping the wind and snow out. It is a constant, mindful dialogue with the elements, a subtle art of balance that keeps the air clear and the home warm. As your eyes adjust to the soft, flickering light of the fire, you see the interior is not just a single space. It is a world of its own, with a secondary liner on the inside. This inner lining, often made of a lighter hide, or sometimes even woven plant fibers, hangs a few inches away from the outer covering. This lining, called a dew cloth or inner lining, served a dual purpose. First, it created a pocket of insulating air, a vacuum between the two layers that trapped the warmth and prevented drafts from creeping in through the spaces between the poles. Second, it directed the rising smoke and hot air up and out, acting like a chimney. This double-walled design is the final piece of the teepee's ingenious climate control, a hidden layer of protection that ensures a peaceful night's sleep no matter what the storm brings. This inner lining also served as a canvas for storytelling and art, sometimes painted with geometric designs or scenes from visions and dreams, making the inside of the home a sacred space as well as a functional one. The entire space, with its circular shape, was seen as a reflection of the universe, a sacred hoop representing the interconnectedness of all things. Feel the deep peace of this place, the low, quiet murmurs of the family gathered together, the gentle crackle of the fire, the knowledge that this is not a struggle, but a harmony. This is a home built from a deep respect for the land and its teachings. This is the teepee's profound, gentle embrace. The fire in the center is a source of light, warmth, and life, but a fire for all its power will eventually burn down to embers, and as the long night deepens, the true cold begins its slow descent. So, how did they hold on to the warmth, hour after hour, until the sun returned? The answer lies in the hot rocks. This was a ritual, a quiet, almost sacred act of preparing for the night. Imagine a collection of smooth, dark river stones gathered from the streams in the warmer months. These are not just any stones. They are carefully chosen, their surfaces smooth, and their hearts solid, without cracks or fissures. The people knew a terrible secret of the cold. A stone with water trapped inside would explode when heated, a phenomenon known as spalling, turning into a deadly shrapnel. So they chose their tools with care and a deep respect for the materials they were given. They learned to identify the safest rocks, often volcanic or hard, non-porous stones, and avoided the ones from riverbeds, which were more likely to contain trapped moisture. As the family prepared for sleep, they would take these stones and place them directly in the fire, nestled in the heart of the glowing red-hot embers. The stones would absorb the fire's heat, slowly, patiently, until they radiated a deep internal warmth, a silent, powerful heat you could feel from a distance. The fire itself was also a subject of mastery. They would build a small, efficient star fire with 5 or 6 logs laid out in a star shape, their ends meeting in the center. As the ends burned, the logs would be pushed inward, feeding the fire slowly and conserving wood, which was a precious commodity in the treeless prairies. Once the stones were ready, their surfaces glowing with trapped heat, the people would use a pair of forked sticks or an antler to carefully lift the glowing, heat-filled stones out of the fire. The stones were a gift, and they were handled with a gentle reverence, a quiet prayer of gratitude for the earth's warmth. Each stone would then be wrapped in a piece of rawhide or thick bark, a protective layer that prevented the stones from burning the bedding. One by one, these prehistoric hot water bottles would be placed in the beds, nestled deep within the layers of robes and blankets, a stone at the foot of the bed to warm the toes, another by the side, tucked against the back or the stomach. Each one was a tiny, silent furnace, releasing its stored heat over the long, dark hours. This slow, steady, radiant heat was a profound comfort. It warmed the entire body, from the tips of the toes to the deepest bones. You could feel its warmth seeping through the hides, a gentle, sustained heat that warded off the deep chill of the night. It was a form of thermal engineering, a simple but brilliant method of capturing the day's fire and extending its life far into the night. Some tribes, in more permanent structures, like the Hogan of the Navajo or the Kiva of the Pueblo, would even build a shallow trench under their sleeping area, heat it with a fire, cover it with earth, and sleep on top of the warm ground. It was a practice born from a profound understanding of heat transfer and insulation, a knowledge that was a part of their very being. The hot rocks were not just a tool for warmth. They were a gift from the earth, a memory of the sun and the fire, a tangible connection to the elements that sustained them. They were a part of the ritual of sleep, a final act of preparation that ensured a night of deep, peaceful rest. The heat, once it left the fire, was a gentle, humble gift, a source of comfort that required no more fuel, a quiet miracle of physics and nature. Lying in the quiet warmth of the teepee, wrapped in the generous gifts of the land, you begin to understand the true meaning of insulation. This was not a passive act of putting on a coat. This was a science, a form of natural engineering practiced every day. The preparation for winter was a meticulous, year-round process, and it began with the animals that sustained them. Every part of a hunted animal was used with reverence, a testament to a deep sense of gratitude and sustainability. The people slept in layered garments made from the hides of the animals they hunted. The inner layers might be soft, tan deer or elk skin, supple and comfortable against the skin. These hides were carefully worked, scraped clean of all hair and flesh, and then softened by repeated rubbing and flexing, a process that made them as soft as cloth. The outer layers were often thicker, heavier, made from the fur of animals known for their insulating properties. The bison hide was particularly valued on the plains, as its thick, dense fur and tough outer layer provided an exceptional barrier against both cold and wind. The caribou, hunted by northern tribes like the Athabascan, also provided a uniquely warm fur, as its hollow fibers trapped air, creating a double insulated layer that was lightweight and incredibly warm. The bear fur, especially from the grizzly, was used for heavy, luxurious robes that provided an unmatched level of warmth. Smaller furs from animals like beaver and rabbit were also used, sometimes sewn together to create blankets or warm inner linings for moccasins and mittens. They didn't just wear these garments, they slept in them. At night, A person might wrap themselves in a large buffalo hide robe, hair side in, to trap and hold their own body heat. This was the fur burrito method, a simple, effective way to create a self-contained pocket of warmth. The robes were often supplemented with blankets woven from materials like dog fur, pitchmoni, which was known to be warmer than wool, or from the downy fibers of certain plants, carefully prepared to provide a soft, insulating layer. The bedding was also layered, dried grasses or woven mats laid on the ground, then the thick hides, and finally the sleeping robes. Sometimes, a pit would be dug in the center of the teepee floor and filled with heated rocks, and then covered with layers of earth and hides, creating a radiant heat source beneath their sleeping space. This was not simply sleeping, it was a carefully constructed system of warmth, a cocoon of comfort woven from the gifts of the earth. But the most powerful source of warmth was right there, in the quiet darkness of the teepee. It was the warmth of the community. The teepee was not a place of individual isolation. It was a space of communal survival, a living organism where the warmth of one person was a gift to all. In the quiet hours of the night, families would sleep close together, a tangle of bodies sharing and generating heat. Mothers with their children, fathers with their sons, each person contributing to a collective warmth that was far greater than the sum of its parts. This was not just a strategy for survival, it was a physical embodiment of their interconnectedness, a reminder that they were all one family, sharing the burden and the blessing of the cold. The very act of sleeping together was a reaffirmation of their social bonds and a quiet ceremony of mutual reliance. This shared warmth was a silent, powerful force. You can feel it now, the gentle pressure of another body nearby, the collective exhalation of breath that fills the air with a soft, comforting humidity. It is a deep, ancient comfort, a warmth that comes not from a fire or a rock, but from the simple, profound act of being together, a silent promise of protection and care. Survival wasn't a struggle against nature, it was a dance with it, a partnership born of deep knowledge and humility. The people of the plains, the forests, and the mountains did not simply endure the winter, they prepared for it, often from the first turning of the leaves in autumn. This preparation was not just physical, it was a way of life, a deep generational memory passed down through stories and quiet observation. Consider the role of the wind. A blizzard could strike without warning, blanketing the prairie in blinding, swirling snow. But the people were ready. They would pile snow around the base of their teepees, creating a low wall that sealed the bottom edge and prevented the wind from finding a way in. This snow wall was a brilliant self-replenishing form of insulation, a natural buffer against the howling wind. They also used a hide skirt, an extra strip of hide that wrapped around the base of the teepee on the inside, creating an additional seal against drafts. These were not random acts. They were climate control strategies baked into daily life, a constant mindfulness of the world around them, a deep understanding of the language of the wind and the snow. The winter also required mobility. A family couldn't stay in one place forever, as they needed to follow the game and find new sources of wood. This is where their ingenious tools for winter travel came into play. The snowshoe was a key invention, a wide, webbed frame of wood and rawhide that allowed them to walk on top of the deep snow, rather than sinking into it. The designs were as varied as the tribes themselves. The bear paw snowshoe, used in forested areas, was shorter and rounder, ideal for navigating tight spaces and dense trees. The catfish or beaver tail snowshoe, used in the open prairies and Great Lakes, was longer and narrower, designed for speed and efficiency over long distances. The creation of these snowshoes was a precise, careful craft, a beautiful fusion of form and function. They knew that a snowshoe was not just a tool, it was an extension of the body, a way to move in harmony with the land. For hauling heavier loads, firewood, meat, and the teepee itself, they used toboggans and sleds. These were long, flat wooden runners, often pulled by dogs, that could glide effortlessly over the snow. The toboggan, with its curled front, was a simple, elegant tool that allowed them to transport their entire home and its contents from one camp to the next. The dogs, their loyal companions and helpers, were a vital part of this system, their strength and endurance a gift from the Creator. They were not just animals, they were members of the family, sharing in the work and the burden of survival. They would also use a travois, a V-shaped frame pulled by dogs or horses, to haul their belongings. The teepee poles themselves often became the frame of the travois, a brilliant example of multi-purpose design. This mobility was a testament to their deep connection to the land. They had a mental map of their territory, a knowledge of the best routes, the sheltered valleys, and the places where game might be found. They knew the signs of the seasons, the behavior of the animals, and the patterns of the wind. They did not fight the winter. They moved with it, flowing with its rhythms like a river under the ice. This was not a life of fear, but of intelligent adaptation, a constant learning and relearning of the world around them. As you lie here, the quiet settling in around you, you begin to understand the final and most important secret of their survival, the mentality. The people did not see winter as a struggle to be won, but as a sacred time to be respected. It was a time of stillness, of rest, and of introspection. It was a period of spiritual and cultural renewal. They believed that during the winter, the world was sleeping, the earth rested, the plants withdrew their life force into the roots, and the animals slowed their pace. To fight against this natural cycle was foolish and disrespectful. Instead, they mirrored it. They spent their days in the quiet warmth of the teepee, telling stories, repairing tools, and passing on the knowledge of their people. The long, cold nights were the perfect time for stories of creation, of heroes, of spiritual journeys, and great adventures. These stories were not just entertainment, they were the very fabric of their culture, a way of passing on the lessons of survival, morality, and their place in the universe. The elders, the storytellers, were the keepers of this sacred knowledge, their voices a continuous link to the past. This mentality was rooted in a profound sense of humility and gratitude. They were grateful for the buffalo that provided their homes, their clothing, and their food. They were grateful for the lodgepole pine that held up their shelter. They were grateful for the fire that kept them warm, and for the deep, silent wisdom of the winter that taught them to be patient and still. They understood that the land was not something to be conquered, but a living being to be respected and cared for. They saw themselves not as masters of the earth, but as its children, its caretakers. This was not a life of fear, it was a life of trust. They trusted in the lessons of the ancestors, in the design of their teepees, in the warmth of their families, and in the profound, unbreakable connection they had to the land. They knew that if they listened to the earth and honored its rhythms, it would provide for them. So now, as the fire dies down to a soft orange glow, and the hot rocks continue to radiate their gentle heat, you can let go. You can feel the quiet peace of this place, the deep comfort of being held within this ancient home. The wind whispers a lullaby outside, and you are safe, warm, and at rest. You are a part of this deep, ancient stillness. Let your breathing become as slow and steady as the glowing embers. Let your mind become as quiet as the snow-covered prairie. The teachings of 1,000 winters are here, in the stillness, in the warmth, in the peace. You have nothing to fear. You are home.